So well over a year ago, I made a video talking about the upcoming Fallout game, Fallout 76. Well, it's been close to a year since the game's release, and the game really underperformed. There's been several major factors in why it didn't do so great, and then it's made a surprising resurgence. It's doing better now. The game's surprisingly improved. So, let's talk about that. Let's talk about how Fallout 76 has changed for the better, and some things that they still have yet to work on. And then overall, my overall thoughts of the game. So, let's get into it.
On your mark, get set. We're riding on the internet, cyberspace, set free. Hello, virtual reality.
Interactive appetite, searching for a website, a window to the world, got to get online.
Take a spin, now you're in with the techno set. You're going surfing on the internet.
Hey, what's going on, geeks? Maxusthebeast is here, and welcome back to Maxusthebeast on the Internet. Now today, as stated, we are going over Fallout 76's Resurrection, and how it can still be improved. So, in order to discuss a resurrection of something, we must first talk about how it flopped. Because something wouldn't need resurrection if it succeeded from the start. So, let's first go into the failures and why at first I got it wrong about a lot of things. My original video, a lot of my opinions were based on what I thought would happen, based on assumptions rather than gameplay and proven fact, because, well, the game wasn't out yet. I couldn't really figure out how things were going to work. And I pictured it functioning sort of like Rust, rather than what it turned out to be. So, a lot of things changed around because I didn't really have an idea of how they were supposed to work, but now I do. But even before we actually get to the game itself, there were a lot of real-world issues that Fallout 76 had to its name. First and foremost was the whole duffel bag incident. For those people who decided that they wanted to go all out and order a special collector's version of Fallout 76, which included a whole list of Fallout merchandise along with the game, it would shell out like, oh goodness, like over $100, right? It's pricey. But there were plenty of Fallout fans who were interested in doing so, because they wanted to support their favorite game series, or just a game series they liked, and get a lot of cool merchandise to go along with it. Not to mention they were promised a very cool Fallout 76 themed duffel bag when they ordered it, and eventually it arrived. But instead of being a good quality, nice tier duffel bag, it was no better than a regular plastic trash bag. Just recolored to fit the Fallout 76 brand. And people were outraged that they paid a lot of money for merchandise and for a duffel bag. Which, again, duffel bags in real life are pretty pricey. I mean, I guess it really depends on your price range. If you want to get something super high quality, or if you just want to get something cheap. But again, good quality duffel bags, they can be like $30 or so. Which, again, what sounds cheap to somebody could sound expensive to somebody else. So it's really person to person with that. But again, you're ordering a bunch of this stuff that totals over $100. And $100, I don't care who you are, is a good sum of money. And so if you are losing $100, that's a blow. And that's essentially what this was. They were essentially throwing away money. Because, guess what? Instead of getting a decent tier duffel bag, it was a trash bag. And it was poor quality indeed. And on top of that, there were a lot of other things that Bethesda didn't send, a lot of delays, that sort of thing. And then, let's get to the game now. Let's get to the game. The game, fresh out of the womb, what functioned worse than some early access titles on Steam. The glitches made the game almost unplayable. And in some cases it was unplayable. It was awful. You couldn't get anything done because the game would break. The servers were constantly crashing. You'd be in the middle of doing something. If you actually got somewhere, you'd eventually get disconnected because it just wouldn't work. The servers were just on the fritz all the time. And when you got into the game itself, just functions that were supposed to be in the game wouldn't work properly. You'd see enemies phasing into the ground. You'd see enemies that aren't supposed to be where they are. You encounter a lot of server delay, a lot of ping issues, a lot of optimization issues, a lot of frame rate drops. Sure, the graphics look great, but who cares if the graphics are good if your game runs like crap? I remember playing around that time on a friend's Xbox, and while exploring near, I think it was like Huntersville or someplace, I encountered an iBot just wandering around, followed by two random rats, both of them stuck in the ground and couldn't move. They could move their heads, but that was it. They both had phased into the ground, and the iBot was completely stationary. And it wouldn't die. I tried shooting it with shotguns, meleeing it, nothing. It wouldn't take damage, it wouldn't die, it wouldn't do anything. And then eventually, I aggroed one of the rats, and it managed to scurry its way through the ground and bite me repeatedly, which was stupid. Again, it's a rat, it's not going to do much to a player in power armor, but still, it was... It's a sign that the game ain't working when your enemies are phasing through the ground and attacking you from below the physical map. And it was astonishing how awful it was. I had such high hopes for this game. And they had a really weird PvP system. I mentioned last year how I was worried about new players getting picked on by players who excelled at getting loot and had the best weapons and whatever. But I found out that wasn't really a problem, because the PvP was just so weird that no one really did it. Okay, so here's how it used to work. You shoot somebody, right? And only if you are shot back, only if you are shot by that person could you actually do damage to them. So if you shot somebody, that person could damage you back if they shot at you. But it was in weird scenarios, right? You'd show up on the map for everybody to see if you killed somebody. And you'd have a bounty on your head, which is kind of a decent system where players are punished for random acts of violence against other players unwarranted. So if you kill somebody, the server knows, hey, this guy's a murderer, let's all gang up on him and take him down. It's a decent system on paper, and I guess it worked okay. But it was still kind of weird because, again, nobody did it. If you killed somebody, you couldn't steal their stuff. They just dropped like one or two things that really, most of the time, it wasn't anything good. It was just whatever they had in their junk pile. You just kill somebody and just walk over, oh, silver pocket watch and rotting meat. Yes, that's exactly what I want today. Thank you very much. I'm going to make me a mini nuke with that. You know what I'm saying? None of the loot that you got from a kill really meant anything. PvP was essentially worthless. You didn't get anything good from it. It wasn't interesting, other than the whole bounty mechanic. And there was just really no use for it unless like someone was on like an airdrop and you wanted to kill this person before they got the airdrop, so you could get it. But that's really it. That's the only practical purpose I could see PvP serving in that instance. And then eventually they added in survival mode, which was more of a PvP survival game experience. But at the start, adventure mode was that. Except not. Now adventure mode has changed up a bit, where it's PvE, player versus environment. And that was that. You're against the environment, you're against the wild, but you can't hurt each other, which honestly, I think they should have done that from the start, had the PvE adventure mode, then had like a stronger difficulty, like I guess survival mode, or just some on the lines of that, like specialized servers for PvP, which they ended up doing. But at the start, it was just convoluted, stupid, nobody did it. And then, just, the constant bugs and glitches really drove the player base away. Not to mention, the updates they added just didn't add anything too interesting, and just added more bugs. That was it. Nothing that you really need. Just garbage, more bugs, more glitches, more issues. As if the game already wasn't struggling enough. People left in hordes. People bashed the game in the masses online. It was a horrible time to be a Fallout 76 fan. Because if you liked the game, you were ridiculed. Because, you can't like Fallout 76 because it's an absolute garbage game, right? And that's the way it still is for a lot of situations where you say, I like Fallout 76, people are going to jump on your tail for it. Which again, the game has improved since then, so anybody who's watching this who has left 76, I'd recommend trying it out again. It's a lot more stable, trust me. But the game was just in shambles. I wouldn't even consider it a game. It was just a broken mess of just assets and the Fallout world. The story was okay, right? The lack of NPCs really, really upset people, myself included, because the first jump into it, I was okay with the whole concept of no NPCs at first. Especially when they explained part of the story with the whole Scorch Plague thing. I'm like, oh, that's a creative way to explain away your lack of NPCs. And it kind of worked. But as time went on, it just kind of got redundant walking around with nothing. Just occasionally you'll bump into a person, as interesting as that would be. And then you'd encounter your animals and stuff outside, your ghouls, your whatever. But that's not people. The only real dialogue you had was with vendor robots. But again, one of the biggest parts of Fallout are the NPCs. It's your encounters with the NPCs that really make an experience special. And taking that away is a key part of taking away Fallout. Because Fallout is the experiences of the survivors, of the NPCs, along with the player. So, removing that, it takes away part of the charm. And it was disappointing. As was a bunch of features and things about the game. I honestly, after a while, like I said, I just got bored. I just stopped playing because eventually I got through a decent amount of the game. But there was no NPCs. The factions were dead. The factions they threw at shit, the Responders, their new group for 76. Return of the Brotherhood, which was really weird from a Fallout lore standpoint, because the Brotherhood was founded on the West Coast. And it would be kind of confusing how... I mean, sure, it's been 25 years. Somebody could have migrated east, but Really, in Fallout 3, we are led to believe that the chapter on the East Coast was more recent to 2277, rather than, 2108, or whenever 76 takes place. So it's kind of another really weird lore inconsistency that Bethesda seems to be known for now, which a lot of which could be explained away. But the whole Brotherhood thing really raises questions I don't have explainaways for, which it's disappointing. It's confusing when we have already pieced together lore after a long period of time. Then someone throws a wrench in the works and really makes you stop and think, wait, how did this work again? And that's a lot of the factions with 76. And then they're in the Enclave, which is my personal favorite faction because I like the technology. They're good villains, and I'd like to see the next Fallout game have a joinable Enclave. New Vegas had a joinable Legion, so you could have a joinable villain faction, and Fallout 4 had the Institute. But I'd also like to be able to redeem the Enclave. But again, that's going off topic. The Enclave in 76 were just butchered. Again, everyone's dead because the plague's going around. But still, it's not the same dealing with a Zax computer alone with only robots as your companions instead of a full-on Enclave. A lot of the factions, rather, were just in shambles, and really, you couldn't really say, I'm part of a faction. It's more of, I'm following the pieces of a faction. The Responders, they're all dead, the Brotherhood's dead, the Enclave's dead. You're gonna be dead. So really, what's the point? There was no charm with the factions. They were just husks of what they used to be. But again, it fits with the story, I guess. It fits with what was supposed to be going on. I understand that, and it fits with the story's narrative that the Scorched Plague really is this big threat that needs to be eradicated. So, I get that. I get why these big name factions like Enclave and Brotherhood have to be neutered. So you'll understand how big of a threat this plague actually is, and why the Vault 76 dwellers are the Appalachia's last hope for the future. Anyway, so all of these issues drove home with the community, and it caused a lot of discord and arguments in the community whether anything should be considered canon, or if you should like the game, is it okay to like a game. Through it all, I had high hopes that it could improve, and over time it has. Bethesda's been doing a lot of bug fixes, which, sure, there are still plenty of new bugs coming in, but the game, as of August 2019, is stable. You can play it and only encounter a handful of glitches, and occasionally you'll have a server issue, every once in a blue moon I'll get disconnected, but I'll usually be able to reconnect in the first couple minutes. Then they also added in the Battle Royale mode, the Nuclear Winter, which honestly should have been a New Vegas themed thing, because that's probably the arrow to the knee meme of that game. But that was that. It's getting better. There's a lot of new stuff coming to the game. Recently, Vault 94 opened, which means I need to get to work on that because I'm trying to do an Unvaulted series. So I gotta get to the vault and get ready to learn the story, because that's the only vault I don't know, other than the other two that are so close. But there's a lot of stuff coming to Fallout 76 that's really exciting. They fixed the game up a lot, and the game's actually worth checking out now. If you've already left the game, I'd recommend trying it again. It plays like a regular Fallout. Just this time just with other people and nobody's there. NPCs are coming back though, which I'm looking forward to seeing how they handle. Because NPCs are back, meaning, well, Fallout's back. We're going to have hopefully some new companions, some new interesting characters to work with. Maybe the factions like Brotherhood or Enclave will actually have, people in them that'll make the factions an interesting, faction. I have high hopes that the game can improve. And it already is. And gradually the player base is starting to come back to it. And those who've been sticking around like, see, I told you so. You guys should have come back and given it a chance. And I agree with both sides. For those who wanted to leave, I get it. And those who did leave, I get it. The game was in horrible condition. And honestly, sticking around is an act of dedication that should be commended. But again, Fallout 76 is starting to take shape. It's starting to become a better game. And well, yeah, doing another Fortnite clone isn't exactly what I had in mind. It's not terrible, it's fun. I'm getting sick of the constant battle royales though. Again, that's just me. But let's go into my thoughts. I've covered a bit of the resurrection, a bit of history. Let's go into my thoughts, my actual thoughts here. As I've probably made it clear by now, I'm starting to become a fan of 76 again. I still prefer the other Fallouts over it, but it's not terrible, and I'm looking forward to exploring it again with a fresh take on things, trying to see what's out there now, trying to explore it again, exploring the new vault. Now, one of my biggest complaints is how they handled Vault 51. In order to learn the story of Vault 51, instead of opening it up and allowing the player to explore it, like every other vault in the Fallout series, they locked it behind victories in the Battle Royale mode. Which makes sense because the vault is closely connected to the Battle Royale, and is the starting lobby for the Battle Royale. But it just feels stupid that in order to find out more, you have to upgrade what they call your Overseer rank, which gets updated by, objectives completed in-game, victories, of course. And then over time, you have to be a level, I believe it was 150 or 180 in order to access every single holotape, terminal, whatever, room in the vault. Which again, I get the idea of wanting or needing a reward system to, reward players for actually doing well. But at the same time, don't lock your lore behind victory royales. It makes those of us who care about the history of Vault-Tec vaults, makes our lives a whole lot more difficult when we want to, explore a vault, but then we're thrown out into Fortnite Battle Royale. We want to explore the vault regularly, read terminals, do whatever regularly in the base game, rather than have to compete in a Battle Royale. I don't appreciate how they did that. So again, I'm probably going to treat that vault like I'm going to treat the 2D games. Reading the story online. Because I don't want to have to grind to level 180 in Battle Royale to read a story. It's just a waste of time. Besides, I'm not that great at Battle Royale games anyway. As I'm sure most of you watching can testify from my previous Fortnite and PUBG videos. But again, other than that, and of course complaining about the occasional bug that drives me crazy, the other day I tried to load up the game and I was trying to hunt down a very specific enemy that spawns at a very specific location. The enemy showed up, but it absolutely broke. When I shot it, it froze up, kind of like T-posed at me for a second, and then I got disconnected from the server. Again, that could be still wonky server issues, so maybe it's not a game issue, but still, there's a lot of stuff that has yet to be fully optimized, and it would be great if, you know, the game would be fully optimized sooner rather than later. But all in all, 76 has improved a lot. I'm looking forward to seeing how it continues to improve. The addition of NPCs brings about many questions. How are they going to work? How are we going to interact with them? Are our companions going to follow us around like they did in every other Fallout game? How are the factions going to change up with the reinvention or re-addition of NPCs? Again, that's a lot of stuff we're going to have to figure out and find out when NPCs are eventually added. But I'm looking forward to it. So my overall thoughts? I'm optimistic, but again, I'd recommend you all do your fair share of research into the game before you get it, because I'd recommend it. I recommend trying it out. But again, I don't want anybody wasting their money on a $60 product if they're not going to like it. So again, research about the game, storyline. If you don't want spoilers, then don't do that. But see for yourself how it's changed. Occasionally, Bethesda will allow free weekends. So if you know of a free weekend coming up, be sure to give it a go. To download the game and try it out during this free weekend. So you can get an idea of what the game feels like, so you can decide, you know, if you like it or not, and if you'd really consider shelling out $60 for it. Although typically if it's on free weekend, it's on discount too. Or if you have any friends who own the game, see if they'll let you try it out, because being able to try it out really influenced my decision on whether or not I should buy it. And eventually I did, after hearing about all the vaults in the game. Like, you know, we'll try this out. Again, trying to be optimistic, but also trying to be realistic. I hope you all give the game a chance if you're into Fallout, and if you are interested in the Fallout lore or whatever, I definitely recommend giving it a go just for that, because there are definitely some interesting things thrown into the game, such as all the cryptids like the Wendigos, the Snallygasters, Mothman, stuff like that. That's actually really cool. And there's still your typical dark Fallout lore going on, like the experiments at West Tech. Of course, the vaults. What can you expect from Vault Tech at this point? Absolute horrors, monstrosities, you name it. Atrocities. So again, there's still a lot of Fallout to be enjoyed here. But if you don't like the Fallout series, then wait until NPCs are put back into it, because then the game will have a bit more charm to it. Try it out then. But if you are major fans of the Fallout series, the Fallout story, give it a go. I'd recommend it. Or at the very least, just like wait for it to go on sale or free weekend or whatever, and give it a go there. Or try it out someplace. I'd recommend it. But at the same time, like everything else, the choice is up to you. Anyway guys, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope that this made sense, because I understand that I kind of rambled through some parts. I get that, and I'm sorry for doing so. But I hope you understood the points I was trying to get across. Anyway, with that aside, thanks again for watching guys, and as always, Maxusthebeast is out.